Let's go to the 11th item on tonight's agenda, which is 34 Union Road. The property is revisiting the Zoning Board of Appeals to be reapproved with the variances listed below because of the general municipal law GML not being included in the prior approval. The subject property is located on the east side of Union Road, 400 feet north of North Myrtle in an R2 zoning district. The property is designated in the town tax map is section 57.22, block 2, lot 1. The applicant is seeking variances for a proposed two-family dwelling. The requested variances are as follows. Lot area, 10,000 square feet, 8,510 square feet provided. Lot width, 100 feet required, 60 feet provided. Street frontage, 70 feet required, 60 feet provided. Side yard, 15 feet required, 5 feet provided. Rear yard, 20 feet required, 10 feet provided. Total side yard, 30 feet required, 10 feet provided. The applicant is Rougen Corp. Janae, have all public notices required by state and local law been complied with to the best of your knowledge? Motion to open the public hearing would be appropriate.
Motion up. Second.
Wait, who made the motion?
Thank you.
Okay, it's officially open.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As noted, some members want additional time to consider those where there were disapprovals. This is a project open for GML reconsideration where it was recommended modifications. This matter was approved on December 27th, 2017. The motion was made by Member Solomon and granted with the following conditions. Trees and chain link fence between the subject property and 36 Union Road. Take off the stairs and the side decks need to be within those 10 feet. Sprinklers, stone in front, curb and sidewalks, curb stops, and a 4-foot fence in the front. So those were the conditions that were opposed on December 27, 2017. We are requesting an override in GML of comments.
Okay, she's ready to speak, so give her our undivided attention. Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Get control.
Oh, there's something you should read there.
Raise the right.
You have to hold your hand up.
There were tests of testimony I am about to give is the truth to the best of my ability and knowledge.
Your name and address.
Okay, I'm Ethel Halpert, 36 Union Road, Spring Valley, New York, 10977. We had a zoning board meeting on 12/27 where I have given my concern. I live on 36 Union, and this property is right next to me. It's 34 Union. Now, I understand I have a little private house, very nicely taken care of, very nicely taken care of the property. We take care of the landscaping and everything. It's plain, it's fine, it's private, and we enjoy it. All I'm asking from the board is the same thing I asked on December 27th. Please, I want to keep my privacy. I understand that he wants to build a two-family. When we want to live in peace with our neighbors, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm letting them do whatever they want. But I need the applaud that they will put a 6 feet, and Bruno is on the other side on 38, and he said he was going to do it in his property. He's putting towards his property a 6-foot fence, and in front of the property is going to be the arborvitae trees, so we have a privacy hedge, and I have my privacy, and no matter how many children, whatever is there, they won't come buffing into my property. They have the fence, and then they have the trees, so we're in private, and I don't want to disturb. I want to live in peace, but I'd like to live my old-fashioned style with a private house. And what happened was I went to the village, to the clerk, to ask for the resolution or the minutes of the 12/27 meeting, so I can have it in writing that this was put into, and they will not be getting the CFO until these trees are not in, as I state, and until the fence and the trees are not in. Because once they get the CFO and they move in, I can say bye. Okay? Now I'm requesting that you put it in writing, and then I need a copy of this resolution that it's going to be done. I went 5 or 6 times. I could show you I have here signed signature from John and from Diana, what her name is, that she, here it is. This was the 5th time I was there, and I told them they have to stamp something, tell me that I was there, and I never got anything.
There are no minutes. We didn't get it, just, we didn't get any minutes either. We don't have a copy of a decision letter either. All I had was my notes from the meeting, which is what I read into the record at the beginning, which included that the board required us to put in the fence you requested.
Okay, but I want it
Yes,
please
we
in
will.
writing, and I want you to stick up for me.
I agree.
Well,
And I'm gonna tell you why, because I remember distinctly having that discussion before the decision was made. We got a lesson in arborvitaes and the height, and how they grow, and where they grow, which way, and where they come. We got a lesson, and I know most of us remember that, even us with older people, with myself, but because of that, that's why I know we sat here and made a commitment, and the developer made a commitment, because we made comments about the heights. And they weren't necessarily nice comments, but we made comments about the height and the height that you were requesting and how you would contain that growth to limit it to that 7 or 8 foot. So I distinctly remember. Now, no one else may. I don't know when you're gonna get the minutes. I don't know that we'll ever get the minutes because there seems to be some mixed up in the village of Spring Valley and things were. But I will say to you, I agree with you then and I agree with you now. And I have no problem requesting that this board make a condition of the approval if they grant it.
It is a condition
That these things, well, we need to restate that
Yes,
condition.
you do. Let
if
me
we
make this
approve it
clear.
tonight.
All these reconsiderations and reapprovals, your written decision document minutes, the most recent one, the ones of the reconsideration, reapproval because of the overlooking of the county GML report, this will be the superseding document.
Okay.
So that's why I am a pain in the butt, and I make reference to that prior approval. Are you incorporating all of those prior approval conditions? And I also suggest that you recite them, as annoying as it may be, because we may not have minutes from the prior approval, as we're learning for this particular item. And there are others that we don't have minutes because we're going through staff changes, people came and left, and there were no audio recordings, we didn't have a secretary at the meetings, so on and so forth. So this is the decision that matters. So whatever conditions you make for this decision, that's the one that will be enforced.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Is there any reason I should come again?
Well, it may be...
You don't trust us?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name.
Come again.
Halpert, Ms. Halpert, you may not have to come again if it's approved or denied tonight. So why don't you stick around and see what happens? If it's continued, then you would want to come back.
From the public? Brian?
I have nothing further.
Okay. Is there a motion
To close the
to
public
close the public hearing? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Officially closed. Discussion. Motion to approve or disapprove or deny.
Disapprove. I prefer
Motion to approve?
And just specify as previous
As previously,
all the conditions.
Well, since we don't...
we don't have to.
Since we don't have a written decision document for the December 27th decision prior approval, I would recommend that you recite. Did anyone make a note of what Mr. Carbon recited? I'm sure Esther can read it back. Hold on, Ryan.
I can do it.
Point of information only, the public hearing is closed.
Yeah, then I'm going to have to ask to be excused to be able to attend to this other matter around another time. 34 conditions. Again, this is my own notes of the meeting, but
Well, like I said, this is a brand-new, fresh review. So you don't have to accept the conditions that you imposed in the December, at the December 27, 2017
Want me to
meeting.
read them?
Go ahead. You can add new ones, you can change them. Go ahead, Brian.
Trees and chain link fence between subject property and 36 Union Road. Take off request for variance for 5-foot stairs and side decks, as we discussed, 10 feet on each side. The building to be sprinklered, stone to be used in the front, curbs and sidewalks, curb stops, and a 4-foot fence in the front. Those were the conditions from the 12/27/17 meeting.
34 Union Road. That leaves the total side yard with
10 full foot.
That was the
20
same.
provided, right?
Yeah, that was
Instead of 10 provided.
the condition that was,
All right, the public hearing has been closed, and this is why I always say, please, don't close the public hearing until you're heard from everyone to your satisfaction. Now, Ms. Halpert wants to speak, and in all fairness, we allowed Ryan to speak.
I answered your
No, you
question.
just-
I know you did, Ryan, it's not your fault, Ryan, but this is procedurally, please, listen to your counsel when I say.
Yeah.
Excuse me, the type of shrubbery. She had requested arborvitae, and that's what we agreed to. So when you have your notes, it says shrubbery, but it doesn't specify the type.
Everybody.
So let's add that as a
Ms.
condition.
Halpert, did you want to add a comment since we asked Mr. Carvin to speak? We're asking you.
Thank you. I just want, please write it down. It should be 7, arborvitae, 7 to 8 feet tall, and between one another should be 3.5 feet center between one and another. This way it becomes a privacy hedge fence, and the fence should be towards their property, and the shrub, the green, should be in my property, because if it's going to be on the other side of the property, who will take care of the trees? They should live and water them and have the landscaping done. So I want the fence on theirs, towards their side, 12 feet in, according to the law, and in front of that, towards my house, should be.
Remind everyone.
My idea is to go with 4-foot trees, not 8-foot, because 8-foot is twice as wide. And then as they grow, trim them to keep them trimmed, so they will have the same, at least 8-foot of clearance, you know what I'm saying?
I'm not a
I'm just saying,
landscaper.
when you buy 8-foot shrubbery, it's automatically the taller this way and the bigger this way. And you're not going to fit through.
Right, as long as there's someone here that can clearly state approval conditions that a building inspector can administer with clarity, I would appreciate that, as would Janae and the building inspector.
Well, it's going to be a 6-foot fence. Eventually, it's going to grow tall, but at least they could trim it as it grows.
I'm not, she's asking for 7 to 8, and you want to cut that in half.
That wasn't originally approved, but fine, whatever you
Yes,
say.
originally we said yes.
We didn't put a height to it.
My meeting notes, and I'm going to take the liberty that's been recorded here, my meeting notes reflect that we agreed to the fence. It does not sound from the conversation here, there's room for a fence and for trees, but it's up to the board, and we will try to accommodate everybody to the greatest extent possible. My notes reflected a fence, 6-foot fence. Obviously, attractive shrubbery is always a good thing. But it is what it is.
Is there an alternative if you do, with the fence, a privacy type of, either?
We agreed to a privacy fence in December 2017.
Privacy fence would probably solve the problem of 6 foot, and it won't take any space. Is that an option at all?
Listen, we could approve with 8-foot trees, and if it works, it works. If not, it can always come back to the board.
Wait to be called by the chairman, okay?
So, what, trees only or with?
I'm saying trees and fencing, if that's what they want.
But the only problem is, you said about the side yards. Do you have an issue with that?
Mr. Chairman, perhaps I can be helpful. I spoke to Mr. Krasnowski, my client. He suggested perhaps a meeting with him and the adjoining homeowner and a landscaper, and we're all sitting here playing, Dr. Green Thumb here, and we don't seem to be
Okay.
getting anywhere. So perhaps that's constructive, perhaps let everybody get together with somebody who actually plants these things and talk about it and it can be worked out, because
Thank you,
I don't
Ron.
know that we're situated.
The wisest thing that's been said
Who
all
wants to
day.
say something?
To be very honest, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, because he's Jewish and I'm Jewish. But he does not want to speak to me properly. He does whatever he wants, and he will not agree to anything that I do. I have been there to get Bruno made him tell me that he's going to give it to me. Okay, Bruno couldn't come tonight, and that's why I'm going to use it. She has in her, she had a picture of the trees from the 12/27 meeting that they agreed upon. Walter, the building inspector, was here. I spoke to him 2 days ago, and he said that I should stick with it, and they will go along with it. I spoke to Diane this week. I was in the office, and Diane said she remembers it, I should come in, and if it was approved, they're going to approve it again. He will do anything to stop me from getting this. All I'm asking, let him make his house a little bit smaller. Nothing's going to happen. All I want is to stay with my house normally. May I request this?
Ms. Halbert, we're not deciding anything tonight. Let me comfort you with this. That prior decision of December 27th, and I know it doesn't sound comforting, but it is forget about it, because there are no minutes for it, there's no village record for it. Even if there was, the decision is invalid, because this board did not override the county's general municipal law requirement. I know there's a lot of this is legalese that you may not understand, and most people don't, so that's fine. That decision is not valid. I'll just simply say it that way for you. It's comforting because now this board is going to make a decision that will be valid. Okay? So we're going to try to figure out how best to do that, and we're going to come back at a future meeting where hopefully this will be finalized. So at your request, Mr. Carvin, we're going to keep the public hearing open and continue it to November 14th?
Yes, and I would also request that the balance of the items on the agenda